And so many times we don't bookend our days. We don't control our last 30 minutes. We don't prepare for success the next day. We don't get a great night's sleep. And then we wake up and we're immediately checking our phone rather than stacking wins, feeling this progress. Imagine if you get 5, 6, 7 things done the first 30 minutes of your day. All of a sudden you're like, yes. Like I feel good. You get a dopamine hit. An email comes, oh, we're not going to buy your product today. Okay, next, I'm moving on. I'm already equipped with that energy, that focus, that tenacious spirit. So it's the foundation that you can lean on when times are tough. And if you stick to it on a daily basis, you're going to be able to weather the storms. But it's going to keep you grounded. It's going to keep you consistent. And we all have dips. We all have valleys. We all have peaks. It'll allow you to handle the dips, handle the valleys that much better.
You're listening to the Real Business Connections Network. Real Business Connections Network. Powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. Subscribe now and check us out at realbusinessconnections.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome everyone to Learn, Speak, Teach, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. If you love to learn, be inspired, and succeed, we're here to speak and teach. I'm your host, Ben Albert. I believe if you're not living, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're withering. And if you're not engaged, you can turn this off right now. Because we here at LST are lifelong learners. And listen, I'm not your guru. I'm an ordinary guy on a journey to learn from the experts. My goal is to host each conversation with a beginner's mindset. Learn and let the experts speak and teach their truths. Join us! Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe. This episode is brought to you completely free. Get some stake in the game here. My fee for the show only takes a few moments. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Bonus points. Please leave us a review on Apple, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to the show. All right, let's get started. Welcome everybody to Learn, Speak, Teach on the Real Business Connections Network. I am here today with Jeff Wickersham. Jeff, brother, I'm excited to be with you. This is going to be fun.
Ben, thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm excited. Well, I don't even know where we're going to go. You're just full of energy. You're full of love. You're full of fun. So to introduce you to the audience, Jeff is an accountability and peak performance coach. He's a speaker, creator of the 4-Step Morning Fire methodology, a Tony Robbins Award winner, founder of Kings of Sparta Mastermind, an author, podcast host. Morning Fire, your podcast, short nuggets, short, sweet, literally on a drive to work, easy peasy, and over 700 episodes of straight fire. So you're crushing it, man. You're a wealth of knowledge, wealth of energy. And hey, man, I'm just excited to have you here today.
I'm pumped. I'm excited to give some great, tremendous value to your audience. And hey, today is a gift that you and I both get that we will never get back again. So let's use it to its fullest.
Amen. It's a gift. And you're a gift. I always like to start with this loaded of all the great stuff Jeff's doing. But let's give it a little context, because I don't think you just rolled out of bed and became a kick-ass, successful entrepreneur overnight. Walk us through, and honestly, take as little or as much time as you need. Walk us through a little bit of that journey, so we can get a little bit of context of what brought you to where you are here today, Jeff.
Love that. And I love starting back to when I was really young, because so many times people see a near finished product, or they see where you're at now and they don't understand the journey, and it's tough to relate to that. So I still remember a story my mom told me when I was 6 years old. I was so shy, so introverted, where I wanted to go over to a buddy's house and she had to come with me. So I would go there, right? That was my level of shyness. And then graduating high school as a senior class on the male side, I was voted biggest complainer. So if you think about that, those are two crazy things as you hear my story moving forward. And really my trigger, my spark was a tremendous pain in my life. And 7.5 years ago, I lost my mom to breast cancer. So I watched the woman who brought me into this world literally take her last breath, had that deep, searing pain. You know, you're punched in the gut, you cut the knees, you question everything about life. And in those days, weeks, months ahead, I chose to step out on my own and open up a gym locally where I live. My late mother was a school teacher, but she taught aerobics in the 80s and 90s at nights. I was always into fitness. And then what organically grew out of that was accountability mindset and peak performance coaching, because there's no shortage of gyms in the world, yet we still can't get through and get into tip top shape physically and mentally. And it's due to that battle that, Ben, you face, I face, we all face in between our ears. And I went down that deep personal development rabbit hole. I'll never get out of it. I never want to. It's such a gift to give yourself and learn and be curious and put on that white lab coat, be a scientist. And how do you intentionally step into the best version of yourselves personally and professionally every day? That's what I help my clients do. And it's the greatest gift, not only you give yourself, but all those around you that you love so much. So that's a little Cliff Notes version of my past, where I started from and where I'm at now.
The ripple you get to create by helping these people, and then they take it home to their family and take it to the team, the sports teams and work. And yes, it's amazing. So that's a little Cliff Notes version. Let's dissect some of these things. So, and thank you for being vulnerable to share that. My father passed away of alcoholism about 5.5 years ago, and that was a big shift in my life as well. I'm wondering what problems were you having, and what did you do to kind of change those problems? Like, is there any commonalities in accountability or problems that people have when they're not performing at their highest level? Where were you, or where were some of your clients, and what are some of these problems, and what do we do about them?
So I would definitely say, yes, I experienced all of those. And that's one of the things I pride myself in life in general, as well as any coaching engagement I have, is that authenticity. I will never put somebody through something I haven't experienced myself or done myself, because that gives you the experience to be able to teach and guide from. And when I moved from corporate America into my gym business, I still had habits that were from my late teens, 20s, and 30s, hanging out with the buddies, drinking till 2 a.m, right? And I still remember I was teaching a Saturday class at 8 a.m. and I was out late with my buddies, and my wife that next morning said to me, "How are you going to teach a class when you stink of alcohol?" Oof. And it was a truth bomb, and one that I look back on and it was fantastic. What a gift she gave me. And I said, you know what? You're right. So I needed to do things that were much more in line to my future identity, who I wanted to show up as. And it was difficult, right? This year I've given up alcohol altogether, 7 months in. So that's been a tremendous force. I was nearly bankrupt. COVID hit. I had to shut down my gym business. How did I dig myself out? Well, I just started taking one step at a time. So those trials and tribulations definitely fuel my purpose, fuel my passion, and hopefully shed some light to someone that might be going through a tough time, to know we all go through those tough times. And you don't need to do it alone. I think so many times we're taught by society, you need to toughen up, get through it. Actually, asking for help, I think, is the greatest strength you can show, because that shows humility. That shows that, hey, you're open to coaching, mentoring, whatever it is. And you're going to get there that much quicker. You're going to get off that dip, off that valley, when you ask for help. So definitely real life experiences. And then when you talk about accountability, I think back to when we're younger, we have parents, we have sports teams we play on. So we have coaches that hold us accountable, teammates that hold us accountable. We have teachers that hold us accountable. And then we get to our 18, 19, 20s, and all of a sudden we have zero accountability. And we haven't yet flexed that accountability muscle to know, okay, how do I hold myself accountable? How do I hold myself to a higher standard, not only at work, but also personally? So that's just such a missing piece, that people say they do things, but then they're not true to their word. They don't hold themselves accountable. And then they just feel crappy about themselves. And it can be a vicious spiral downward.
I've been that person, Jeff, and it really resonates for me. I say it all the time. When you have the answer and you know the direction, you know where the North Star is, and you're making decisions and habits and choices that are actually taking you in the opposite direction, the amount of shame and frustration it causes. So I have the humility to ask for help, hold yourself accountable, maybe have someone else to hold you accountable. I like to jump around a lot, but you had mentioned, 7 months no drinking. First off, congratulations on that. As something that's fresh to you, a lot of the things people say is, well, it's not going to be fun to hang out with my friends anymore, or I go on vacation and maybe I just want to sit on the beach and have a margarita. And we have these excuses that kind of, push us into, and it doesn't have to be drinking, but it can be any habit. But in the case of drinking, how has that 7 months been? Did you find yourself kind of trying to make these excuses? How did you hold yourself accountable? How's the past 7 months been, man?
So I leverage some of the things that I teach my clients to hold myself accountable. One was cool. I posted it out on all social media, right? Because when you put it out in the universe, and let's be honest, 99% of people don't care, but subconsciously there's this little switch that gets flipped. You don't want to look like a liar. So that holds you more accountable. I told all my friends, told my family, told my wife. So that has definitely helped from a consistency and accountability perspective. 2, when I started it, all of a sudden I was aware of how many times I would go to alcohol to unwind or numb myself from a hard day or something. It was just everywhere. And I was like, wow, this is pretty eye-opening. How many times, even on a Friday after cutting the grass, it would be, my immediate reaction would be, hey, go grab a beer. So that was pretty eye-opening. And then the third piece, kind of the results, I just feel so crystal clear. I feel so focused. My energy levels up, right? The cells in our bodies basically regenerate or replenish every 6 to 9 months. So now I'm getting into the window where my body has not had any alcohol in it. So I'm at 47 years young, probably more ripped than I've ever been because I don't have those empty calories. And I don't miss it at all. We just went on a family vacation for a week. And I had a fantastic time. I was going to bed early. I was getting up early, exercising. I would say the overall family, and this is my extended family, didn't drink as much because I was doing those things. And it's just been a tremendous gift. And I knew it was one of those things that I needed to cut out if I wanted to get to that next level, right? And sometimes the quickest way to accelerate your growth is eliminate some kryptonites in your life, right? What are those bad things you're doing that are stopping you? Not adding a good thing, but cutting out the bad things.
Cutting out the kryptonites.
Yep.
And then being consistent with that. So we talked a lot about accountability. Let's hammer down on the consistency, because if I'm remembering properly, when we first met, you had mentioned that you basically do breathing every morning. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what else do you do on a consistent basis? And first off, none of this is prescriptive. What Jeff does, what Ben does, we're all unique. Take a little piece for your niece, take a little bit of info and implement it, but don't feel like you need to just model exactly what Jeff does. Now that I said that, I want to know exactly what Jeff does, though, because I want to learn from you and how you stay consistent with your routines.
And I love that point, Ben. I always tell people, put on that white lab coat, right? Become that scientist. Try, be curious. What works? Hey, if it feels good, do it again tomorrow. So that's definitely a methodology I love to recommend to people and definitely adopt. So, consistency first. I consider consistency the ultimate force multiplier. So if you're thinking of an equation related to growth and success, you can have the effort, you can have the time, you can have the focus, and those are kind of inside the parentheses, and outside that force multiplier, that's consistency. Because if you don't do something over and over again consistently, it doesn't matter how much effort, how much time, how much focus, It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get those results. So that's a key component, is understanding that's the ultimate force multiplier. Second, you ask what I do on a daily basis. Meditation is every single day. Getting into breath work, calming my mind down. I think today was 1,693 straight days. That's a standard I have, right? Drinking a glass of water right when I wake up is another standard I have. The longest stretch of the day we go without water is when we're sleeping. So we're dehydrated. Great way to naturally wake up, get some hydration, get some water in the body. Exercise, moving, doesn't need to be a hour and a half workout, can be as easy as going for a 5-minute walk, celebrating that, getting that done. And then I love cold exposure. So cold shower, ice bath. Last year, I started doing some cold walks in the middle of winter, getting uncomfortable, training my mind, doing some mindset repetitions, some mental repetitions of it's ice cold and ice bath. My mind saying, why are you going to do this? And I say, go sit in the corner. You're either with me or you're not. I'm still going through with it, and getting into some cold exposure.
Getting uncomfortable and staying consistent with that routine. For anyone listening who's like, oh my God, these guys just dived into all these routines and habits and accountability. How does this weave into business? From your experience, how is this going to help me as a business owner, a salesperson, or how is this just going to help me in the business life? For a lot of people, I feel like it's common sense, but I want to hear from you. Like, how does this bleed into more than just that self-work, but family, business, et cetera, et cetera?
I feel it's the foundation for everything in life, right? And I like to call it the last 30 minutes of the day, first 30 minutes of your day, your bookends. If you control those bookends, no matter what life throws at you. And if you're in sales, you're going to hear a lot of no's. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to get a lot of no's. This is a way to fortify your body, your mindset, your spirituality, to be able to absorb those and keep moving forward. And so many times we don't bookend our days. We don't control our last 30 minutes. We don't prepare for success the next day. We don't get a great night's sleep. And then we wake up and we're immediately checking our phone rather than stacking wins, feeling this progress. Imagine if you get 5, 6, 7 things done the first 30 minutes of your day. All of a sudden, you're like, yes. Like, I feel good. You get a dopamine hit. An email comes, oh, we're not going to buy your product today. Okay, next, I'm moving on. I'm already equipped with that energy, that focus, that tenacious spirit. So it's the foundation that you can lean on when times are tough. And if you stick to it on a daily basis, you're going to be able to weather the storms. But it's going to keep you grounded. It's going to keep you consistent. And we all have dips. We all have valleys. We all have peaks. It'll allow you to handle the dips, handle the valleys that much better.
I love it. I don't know who I stole this from. I didn't come up with it, but confidence comes from memories of winning. Confidence comes from memories of winning. And it sounds like if you have that foundation in the front and the end of your day, you always have consistent memories of winning because you've crushed your morning, you've crushed your evening, you're ready to go in the morning. You didn't just check your phone. But we're going to get no's and we're going to get rejected. Walk us through a time, or as many as come to mind, a time when someone said no to you, a time when someone rejected you, maybe a time where it hurt a little bit. Has that ever happened to you, Jeff?
Absolutely has. And I will say years ago, it would throw me off the tracks. It would be hours, days, whatever it would be, where I would be stuck on taking that very personal. And there's a theory called the negativity principle. And it's basically our minds amplify, trigger our fight or flight syndrome when we perceive something negative. It could be an email, it could be text, could be a no. The mind thinks we're still in the caveman days and there's a saber-tooth tiger ready to kill us. So it amplifies it 8 to 9 times more than a positive emotion. So that's why when somebody might say something about you, it sticks with you all day long. So 1, having an awareness of that. 2, how do you bounce back quickly? That's the key. And now I have, if I get a no, or if X happens, then I do 25 push-ups. Then I breathe 3 times. And I'm changing my state, changing my physiology to be able to bounce back and get back on the attack, because that's where the true growth happens. We're all going to experience no's. We're all going to experience dips. If it takes you a week to get back, you're losing a week of productivity. Imagine if, okay, I felt the no, I'm doing a little exercise. Maybe I'm going for a walk outside. Maybe I'm doing some, deep breathing, and I'm back in a minute. You're going to be much more successful. You're going to unlock that untapped time that so many times is spent just replaying that no, replaying that negative event.
You're reprogramming the way you even perceive and kind of the way the mind perceives that event. It sounds like you're completely reprogramming the way your state handles it. Is that correct?
You're acknowledging it, but then you have this algorithm, you have this system, this formula in place to say, all right, I know it's going to happen. So if this happens, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Rather than what happens is it happens and then we're just adrift, right? We don't have a prescribed way to battle and fight back from that low, from that dip. And when you have it, all of a sudden, when you have that prescription, you have that system, then okay, it happens. Here's what I said I was going to do. You execute on it. All right, I'm back and I'm ready to go.
So you're ready to go. You're crushing it. You want more accountability. Tell me about Kings of Sparta. Tell me about your mastermind. Maybe what's the purpose of the mastermind? And if I'm already crushing it, but I know that I have some blind spots, what can I expect from that?
So I created Kings of Sparta when the pandemic hit, because I knew there were other, and it's men specifically that I work with in that group. And men are an interesting animal, right? Many times we've been taught that we need to toughen up. We need to rub dirt on it. We need to do it ourselves. And it's just not the case, right? One of the greatest strengths we can have is actually asking for help, or saying, you know what, I want to be in a brotherhood, in a community of like-minded men who are striving to be the best version of ourselves, right? There's power in proximity, being around, being connected, seeing messages. Let's go today. That's an amazing piece. And that is what the group is all about. It's intentionally stepping into the best version of ourselves, personally and professionally, being connected, sharing energy, sharing focus. And it's all about growth. So it's been an amazing venture, and love the accountability I can provide. They hold me as accountable as well as the leader of the group. So they've raised my game inherently through the process as well.
What would a typical session look like when we're all raising our game together? Is this all over Zoom? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's through Zoom. So typically we're talking about a personal development topic. We're diving into it. Sometimes I'm sharing, sometimes somebody else will dive in. Maybe it's a book they've read and they want to teach it, right? Because that's the great cementer of knowledge, is to teach it to somebody else after you've learned it, right? So we dive into that. We share our wins of the week, any needs help, any hot seats. And it's all about growth and being a safe and secure spot to share what we're struggling with and how can we get better. And it's amazing when you have different perspectives, different corners of the universe, corners of the world, and they can be brought to the discussion.
Yeah, brought all into one place.
Yeah.
This is specifically for men or women with men in their lives that are the man's looking to level up.
Yep, very true.
Cool. The Tony Robbins thing. So I have no clue. What's a Tony Robbins Award winner? Well, what does that mean? So
I have been in a group of his for, I guess it's been about 3.5 years now. And in the first year, there was about 33,000 people in the group or so. And I want to start over and Thrive Award for shutting down my gym business and kind of pivoting into a coaching business. So next time I see a Tony Robbins event in person, I actually get to meet him backstage. So that'll be pretty cool.
Congratulations, man. What are some of the main lessons that Tony has taught you?
Passion, energy. I mean, you talk about a guy that can go on stage and present for 8 to 10 hours, multiple days. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And he's always pushing the envelope, as well as he's always operating in the service of others, right? He gives so much of what he makes to feeding families and doing different things. So, but energy and passion would be number one. And I feel like that's so lost in today's society. People don't bring positive energy, or they're not bringing enough energy to their tasks. And that's one of the things we definitely dial in any coaching engagement I have is, yeah, you can set 30 minutes to a task, a time, but if you're not bringing big energy to it, it's going to take you the full 30 minutes. I guarantee you, if you bring big energy to it, it might take you 15 minutes. All of a sudden you got 15 minutes back in your day, right? So energy, passion, excitement, you want to get to that next level, you've got to raise that. And people want to be around it, right? People are drawn to positive energy. So that energy and passion is definitely a key thing that I've learned from Tony.
Such a key. Well, why do you think it's 2022? Why do you think so many people struggle with that energy maintenance, with bringing energy to everything they do, with the negativity? It seems when you put it on paper, be positive, be high energy, go get it. It seems easy, but I feel like a lot of people struggle with it. Why do you think it is such a struggle?
I think our fundamentals are completely broken, right?
Oof.
I mean, 70 to 72% of people are overweight or obese.
Right.
A third of people or half are sleep deprived. They don't get the recommended sleep. Nutrition is just completely out of whack. We're addicted to our phones and technology. So many times we don't do. 87% of people drink alcohol. Many times we aren't doing things that light us up and give us that energy back, right? So, and that's the easy path to take. That's the path that everybody's headed down. And I love to tell my two sons, if you see everybody walking a certain way, you better walk the other way, because that's not the way you want to go. And our minds are wired to follow the easy and quick. And that's the way we've kind of been sold. We've been told, we've been taught. And that's why everybody's headed down that path. And you get burned out, you get on this never ending treadmill of life, and every day becomes Groundhog Day. You suffer in quiet desperation, despair, anxiety, stress, overwhelm at all-time highs. We've got to make a shift. We've got to make a change. And it starts with yourself and taking care of those fundamentals: nutrition, sleep, exercise, mindset. When you start doing that, then it unlocks that limitless energy that so many of us are chasing, but we haven't figured out the formula to get there. Yeah.
And it's probably not a perfect formula. We've already kind of went over this. It's going to be different for everyone. So let's do an exercise. And I want something that we can do today. Obviously, I encourage people to do it right now, but if you're at the gym, you're driving, maybe it's not possible. What's an exercise we can implement today to start getting a little bit more clarity, whether it's on what lights us up versus what drains us versus energy maintenance? What's coming to mind for something that I could implement today just to get that tiny little short win? And then obviously with the consistency, continue to implement. I feel like we've touched on a million things, but give me one task for the day, Jeff.
I would start with breathing, right? And our breathing is actually even broken. So many people are breathing through their mouths. They're not breathing through their nose. And we are meant to breathe through our nose and down into our diaphragm. And I love to take folks through a 3-breath cycle where you breathe in 6 through the nose, hold for 2, out for 7. And you do that 3 times. 1, it's going to center yourself because you're going to count your breath in, hold, and out. So you can't be focusing on anything else. And once you do those 3 breaths, here's the other thing, Ben, that we so miss because we're in a go, 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 next thing society. We rob ourselves of that dopamine hit from actually accomplishing something. We're getting dopamine hits all day long on our phones, but we're not wiring what we're doing that should be wired to success. So when you get those 3 breaths in, I love to just go, yes, both hands and fists. It feels silly. It looks silly. My sons are like, you kind of look crazy, but you're giving yourself this dopamine hit and you're wiring, hey, I just did something that I haven't done. I'm celebrating it. And then all of a sudden tomorrow, your mind's going to be more willing to do it because it felt good. So that would be number one on the list. Number two would be just to move. Get out and move, walk for a minute outside, get some sunlight, celebrate it. That's a great practice to get into, right? So those are just a couple things that low hanging fruit that people can do. Yeah. 3 breaths for 30 some seconds, a minute of exercise, celebrate each of those, and then do it again tomorrow.
That's such a low-hanging fruit. So I just got to breathe in 6, hold 2, breathe out 7, do 3 sets of that. That'll even change my state, celebrate that change, get some sunlight, get the body moving, get the blood flowing, and then go on to the next task. Is that why I don't want to like mimic you or sound like your podcast, you always have like a chant or a cheer at the start of every episode. Is that why you do that, to like come in with the high energy?
Absolutely. And I feel like so many of us are just flatlined, right? We're not low, but we're not high. We're just kind of going along in life. And I want to shock people a little bit that there's an opportunity to bring that energy, bring that enthusiasm. And that's my gift to people that listen to the podcast, right? I want to know that I'm delivering that to you. And I want you to know that it's possible, because I was a shy, introverted kid. I was the biggest complainer in high school. And here I am bringing positivity every single day. So
talk a little bit about the podcast, because I teased it in the front, like bite size, easy to listen to, like actionable stuff. Is it coming out every day? I know you've got 700 episodes. It seems like you're just crushing it. Give us an overview of the podcast and what I can expect as a listener.
And I love those short snippet episodes, because one of the things I think we do wrong as just society and as a human, we overcomplicate the heck out of things, right?
That's me. That's me, Jeff.
Right. We're just taking action, and I just want to move the needle and give you one topic. So you can just, maybe it resonates, maybe it doesn't, but if it does and you move it and you put it into action, that's going to be amazingly powerful. So the episodes are typically 6 to 10 minutes, Monday through Friday, drop some wisdom, share an experience in my life that you might be able to use for yours, and just continue that consistent growth and delivering a message. So I love the podcasting platform. I feel like it's a great way to learn and then take action from it, right? Because if you're out listening to it on a walk and I talking about doing burpees, maybe you'll drop and do some burpees or something like that. But it's just giving people the ability to hear a different narrative, share some things that have been going on in my life, and hopefully it can impact them in a positive manner.
I love this. One thing I do is I read at least for 5 minutes every morning, and that's not a tremendous amount of time. Usually it's longer, but sometimes it's even just a few motivational quotes. I'm kind of stacking all these habits in my head right now, like a breathing exercise that takes 30 to 60 seconds, acknowledging the state change, going out, getting outside, listening to a 5 to 10 minute podcast. Before you know it, you've spent 10 minutes in the morning. You woke up 5 to 10 minutes earlier to get this done. And again, I'm just stacking it in my head. Just imagine what we can accomplish if we do this consistently, just like you preach. This is something that we don't just do today and go, wow, I rocked and rolled. I'm kick ass now. We do this consistently, right?
Yes, over time, over and over again. And yeah, you're alluding to stacking wins, feeling that progress. And it's, if we don't celebrate though, and that's one of the key things I want to bring out, is celebrate after each one you do. Yes, because you are wiring in your mind that dopamine hit, and then you're going to be more likely to do it tomorrow. If I've had conversation with people and they're like, hey, I did the morning fire methodology for one day. It was great. And I didn't do it for 7 days. And I'm like, well, why not? If it was great, why aren't you? Well, I don't know. Well, I say, did you celebrate? No, I didn't celebrate at all. Well, you're missing that reward for the work and the effort that you're putting in.
Well, let's talk about the reward, because in exercise and a lot of things in life, you get a lot of momentum and there's kind of like a depreciating or a plateau of return. I'm wondering, someone might be asking themselves down the road, how do I know this is working? How do I quantify that this is working for me? What are your thoughts on that?
So this is another piece to the puzzle that I feel like we miss, and I know I missed in my 20s and 30s for sure, was taking some time to reflect and adjust. And when we're always going to the next task, next activity, I'm a dad of two, we've got things going on. We don't give ourselves pauses to say, okay, in my past week, what I do well, all right, celebrate what I did well. That's a great place to start. What didn't work out so well? And then what actions do I need to take on what didn't work out so well? And when you reflect and can adjust, then all of a sudden you're back on the path. And that's why tracking is so critical, whether it's in a business and you're looking to reach or break through a plateau that you've had from a revenue perspective. If you're not tracking on a daily, weekly perspective, then you're not going to be able to review and adjust. So tracking, reviewing, and adjusting can help you get in line to making sure you're going to hit your targets and missions.
Track, review, adjust, and then repeat.
That's it.
Cool, man. I know the entire conversation's been high energy rapid fire, but now we're officially going to go to the rapid fire round. These are short, sweet. You can expand on them, but the concept is it's like Family Feud, that we want to be rapid. However, it's like, whose line is it anyway, that the points don't matter. They're completely subjective to whatever the heck you want to say. So there's no right or wrong answers. You can just cross it out and say whatever you want. Let's get started with coffee or tea.
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Mornings or evenings?
Mornings.
First say where you're calling out of, and then give me your favorite time of year, because I know location does matter when it comes to favorite season.
So outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I would say, geez, I love every season, but I'd say the fall, just football and family time, such a great piece.
This is so unrelated. Are you going to the Summit of Greatness? Isn't that right around you?
I am not. I haven't heard about it. I might have to check it out.
We'll talk about it offline. I think it's pretty close to Philly, but it's Lewis Howes.
Oh, nice.
Has his own summit in that area. So I'm on a tangent already. Give me a favorite guilty pleasure, like something that, but a favorite guilty pleasure of yours.
Sports, I'd say, and watching sports. I mean, I could watch anything related to sports and competition.
Cool. Do you have a favorite sport, or do you have like 5?
Football and basketball, and then just exercising overall. Just love to put my body and mind through some natural stressors and grow. Sweet,
man. And we can slow down for this, because I know it's a big question, but who is your hero? Does anyone come to mind? You can give me more than one, but do you have a hero? Do you have someone that you want to embody, someone you look up to, something like that?
So I'm going to give you 3.
Cool.
2 are my parents, my mom and dad. Just my mom fought breast cancer on and off for 17 years. And then my dad, watching him care for her, be there every single day, be that positive beacon. That was amazing to watch, and such an example he set for myself and my two siblings, as well as all those around us. So that would be those 2. 3 would be my future self that I'm chasing, right? Somebody had asked me recently, what is, if there's a higher power and you meet that higher power after your life is over, what is that higher power going to say? And I told him, he's going to say, I played all out with everything I had, and I didn't leave, and I get a little emotional about it, I didn't leave anything else on the field. Right. And I thought that was a pretty cool future self to be chasing.
Very cool future self. Another, we'll get existential. So your mom were to come back to speak with you today. She sees the amazing progress, the amazing help, all the things you're doing to help so many people in this world. Obviously, she's tremendously proud of you. She starts a podcast. what is she going to ask you that Ben, who barely knows you and a lot of people don't know too much about you, what would your mom ask you on a podcast that someone like Ben wouldn't know to ask?
What did our last deep conversation mean to you? And that really is something I remember between the two of us. And her biggest fear was she wouldn't be remembered by her grandchildren. And I told her in that conversation that I would continue her legacy, continue her voice. And that's one of the things I felt like it was a spiritual passing of the baton, right? Of, okay, I'm going to take this and run with it. And I operate each day to honor that promise that I made to her. But it was a deep and great discussion that we had.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for honoring that promise. I asked the listeners to share this and to get in touch with you. I love it. People leave me reviews, subscribe, all that stuff. But honestly, I'm here to bring Jeff into your life. So where should people reach out to you? How do they get the podcast? Is there an easy place to reach out? Tell me what to do next.
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go out to www.themorningfire.com, grab a complimentary 20-minute session with me if you want to just talk shop. I love meeting and getting curious and hearing about other people, what they're doing, their missions, their goals. If I can help you, then we could talk further, but love connecting with people. If you want to grab the book, it's out on Amazon, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. If you want to subscribe, check out the podcast. It's Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs on all major podcast providers.
Love it. And listen, guys, I got on one of those 20-minute calls. I'm inundated with pitches and requests. Like, there's a lot of people I can have on this show, but I spent 20 minutes with Jeff and I had zero intention going in. I'm going into this call to pitch him to be on the podcast. But by the end of that 20 minutes, I'm like, shoot, man, you need to come on my podcast. So it's worth every single minute. Do book a time with him, but do, connect on LinkedIn, all that stuff. Follow him. I know a lot of people are bashful to dive right into the call, but you're putting out content like crazy and it's all super valuable. And I appreciate you coming on the show to bring some of that love to my audience as well.
Ben, thank you so much for the opportunity. Grateful for the discussion.
Yeah, man, we'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Thanks again for listening to Learn, Speak, Teach, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. You need to go subscribe if you haven't yet. This show is completely free. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Leave us a review on Apple, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to the show. All right. Thanks once more for listening to LST. I am so grateful. Talk to you soon.